Hey everyone, what's going on? So today we got this story about Ichiro Suzuki and how he got a text message from Tom Brady and he didn't know who Tom Brady was. And as you're reading through the story, what does not make any sense to me and shouldn't make sense to a lot of people is that this text message actually came from spring training in 2017. And here we are well after spring training in 2018. So why is the mainstream media bringing up this article just now? And if you understand gematria, which is the practice of coding numbers into words and phrases, you will understand why we got this story. And if you're new to this channel, check out the links in the description. It'll explain what gematria is, how to apply it for yourself, and our mainstream media is always coded this way. Our sports leagues are scripted with this system. Our told history, it's all scripted with this system. So please check out the links in the description. But the reason that we got this story today is because it came 3 months and 5 days after the Super Bowl that Tom Brady just lost. And Tom Brady in gematria equals 35. 3 months, 5 days, Tom Brady equals 35. If you've been following the sports stories, there's been lots about the Seattle Mariners, but Ichiro, he also got moved to the Seattle front office on May 3rd, which in most parts of the world, they even write the date as 3/5. Also notice that Ichiro Suzuki equals 169, just like Seattle Seahawks. And who can forget Super Bowl 49, where Tom Brady and the New England Patriots beat the Seattle Seahawks in the most obviously scripted Super Bowl I think I've ever seen in my entire life. And all year there was media stories showing us that it was going to be Tom Brady in the Super Bowl and Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl. We even had Dr. Dre buying Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen's house just after Alice from the Brady Bunch had died. Think about that. The Brady Bunch house, and then Alice on the Brady Bunch dies. Dr. Dre was 49 years old. He's also born on the 49th day of the year. And in gematria, Dr. Dre equals 49. And then Tom Brady goes on to win Super Bowl 49. All year we were getting stories that were synced up to the Patriots to win the Super Bowl. And it's no different in any other year. If you just pay attention, the media stories are synced to the sports leagues, and the sports leagues are synced up to other events that are going on. And that's what I'm going to explain in this video, because the main reason that we're getting this story is that it's coded to 9/11 of 2001. 9/11 terrorist attacks, and I'll explain that in a second. But let's just re-look at Super Bowl 49. Remember in Super Bowl 49, the big thing was that Malcolm Butler of the Patriots intercepted the ball, and then the Patriots ended up winning when the Seattle Seahawks easily should have ran the ball and should have won the game. But anyway, Malcolm Butler, number 21, intercepted Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks' 21st pass, and it was on 2nd and 1. A lot like 21. And then when he intercepted it, he fell to the ground with 21 seconds left, and the game was even played on February 1st. 2/1. So number 21 intercepts the 21st pass on 2nd and 1, falls to the ground with 21 seconds left in a game that's on 2/1. And the Seahawks should have, and everybody knows this, should have ran the ball to number 24, Marshawn Lynch. But the reason that they didn't run it to him was because he had 24 carries already in the game. Number 24, he had to have 24 carries, and the Seahawks ended up losing with 24 points. And in gematria, Seahawks equal 24. Even if you break down Malcolm Butler's name, Malcolm equals 24. His middle name Terrell equals 24, and his last name Butler equals 24. Fitting for the guy who is responsible for defeating the Seattle Seahawks. Even if you read out 24 as words, it equals 49, a lot like Super Bowl 49. So, absolutely scripted. Well, just another example really quick before I get into it, just to show you that gematria absolutely is real and absolutely exists. Look at Tom Brady in gematria. Tom Brady, 98 in gematria. Look at New England Patriots. New England Patriots, 98 in the reverse small way. You know, Michigan Wolverines equal 98. Tom Brady became the starter at Michigan in the year 98. Michigan's football coach right now, Jim Harbaugh, 98. Remember in Super Bowl 49, they had the Brady Bunch commercial with Steve Buscemi. Snickers equals 98 in gematria. You know, they were just in the Super Bowl that was held in the 98th season of the NFL. Even Brady Bunch equals 98. You know, oh, the odds. Michigan equals 64. And I think if you write out 64, or no, if you write out 98, it equals 64. 98 equals 64. So, absolutely scripted by the numbers. Tom Brady, absolutely scripted to go to the New England Patriots. Scripted player to play for the Michigan Wolverines. So even more, if you go from Tom Brady or Ichiro's birthday to the day of this story, it was 199 days, which is also significant to Tom Brady, who was the 199th pick in the draft, and 199 is the 46th prime number. Patriots with the S exception equal 46. Tom Brady equals 46 of the reverse reduced. Just show you again really quick. Tom Brady, 46. Remember the Patriots also played the 1985 Bears in the 86 Super Bowl, and the Bears beat the Patriots, who equal 46. The Bears won with 46 points, and Chicago equals 46 at gematria, and it was special because that was the year they revolutionized the 4-6 defense. You know, oh, the odds. 4-6 defense, Chicago equals 46. They win with 46 points, and they beat a team that equals 46 in gematria. All scripted, all rigged by the numbers. I also pointed out New England Patriots equal 82, and just the word Seattle equals 82. Thought was interesting. Also, lately I've been talking a lot about 9/11 symbolism, and that is what all of this is about. I'm absolutely positive that they're foreshadowing some type of 9/11 event, or they're just showing us possibly the Yankees to be in the World Series again this year, which I'll explain here in 1 second. But Seattle, Washington equals 68. There's been a lot of stuff with earthquake stuff going on, and San Francisco that I've been talking about, and the Golden Gate Bridge, and the Super Bowl being in Minneapolis, where we had the famous bridge collapse. And I talked about all of this, and then we had a bridge collapse in Miami earlier this year. And then we got the earthquake in Hawaii. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on with it. Hawaii is really important to World War that I will explain. But Seattle, Washington equals 68, just like San Francisco. We had George Bush's mother die this year on the 107th day of the year. The word earthquake equals 107, and the word bridge equals 107, but her birthday was on 6/8. And if you recall in 9/11, George Bush's birthday was 68 days before 9/11, and 911 was made the emergency dialing code in the year 68, and the World Trade Center construction began in the year 68. It actually began, the North Tower, the first one, actually began on August 6th of the year 68 even. And in most parts of the world, they write that date as 6/8 of 68. And also 1968 was the year that George Bush graduated Yale, and he was in Skull and Bones, right? Skull and Bones, John Kerry was also in Skull and Bones. And what are the odds that two prominent men like that were in Skull and Bones, considering that there's only 15 members allowed every year? So 1968, George Bush graduated from Yale, Skull and Bones. That was also 33 years before 9/11 happened. And, 33 is super important to what is going on. The highest degree of Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Jesus supposedly died at the age of 33. The 33 vertebrae in your back. It's all about foundation. The Freemasons are builders. Much, much more. But just if you write out 33, it equals 156. And the company who built the World Trade Centers equals 156. And the 156 prime is 911. And even in Jewish gematria, if you write out Al-Qaeda terrorist attack, it equals 911. Anyway, what else is significant about it is Donald John Trump equals 68 in gematria, and Barack Obama equals 68 in gematria. Think about Hawaii. Barack Obama being from Hawaii, supposedly being from Hawaii. Pope Francis equals 68 in gematria. Also, Prince Charles equals 68 in gematria. All of these prominent men in the world right now, they all have 68 gematria. George Bush's mom dies on 6/8, which is 57 days before Obama's 57th birthday. Also, we just had Donald Trump pull out of the Iran nuclear deal that he pulled out 68 days before the anniversary of the deal being made. Adds nuclear weapon equals 68 in gematria. And think about that in regards to the bombing of Hiroshima that happened on August 6th. A lot like 6/8 or 8/6. So lots of stuff with this number 68 that's important. And I thought it was interesting that Seattle, Washington would equal 68 in gematria. Just think about it too in regards to airplanes. Seattle, Washington has Boeing, right? Boeing that builds the airplanes. They're also important to the space theme that's been going on. They have the Space Needle in Washington. Anyway, if you go from the day that Ichiro re-signed with the Mariners to the day that he got moved to the front office, it was a span of 57 days. The word World Series equals 57, or the phrase World Series equals 57. I also pointed out Ichiro equals 44, and he's 44 years old right now. Seattle equals 44. Space Needle equals 44. Asian equals 44. Earthquake equals 44. Think about, Hawaii in regards to the volcano. Then you got Mount St. Helens there. There's a whole lot of other stuff I've documented with that last year in regards to Mount St. Helens. So, I don't know. There's something really interesting about Seattle. Or just the Seattle area. Even in regards to 44, the World Trade Center opened on 4/4 in 73, the year Ichiro was born. And we're told that there was a story, or a big fire there on the 44th day of 1975. The first president to die in office died on 4/4. And Donald Trump is the 44th person to be the president. He's the 45th president, but the 44th person to be the president. Martin Luther King Jr. died on 4/4. There's so many things going on with 4/4 in regards to political assassination. So just wanted to point that out really quick. Also, the reason that I know that it is connected to 9/11 is just think about Tom Brady and think about Ichiro. Ichiro, he came into the major leagues in 2001, and he played with the Seattle Mariners in 2001, which was the year of 9/11, but the Mariners also had the record of winning 116 regular season games, and then the New York Yankees after 9/11 come out of nowhere, or, they didn't really come out of nowhere, but after 9/11, New York all of a sudden beats the absolutely rolling Seattle Mariners, and they make the World Series. New York makes the World Series. Also in 2001, that was the year that Tom Brady came out of nowhere when Drew Bledsoe got injured in the New York Jets game on 9/23. And Tom Brady got a play, and then whatever, he ended up leading the Patriots to the Super Bowl, right? The Patriots win the Super Bowl after 9/11, and there was also the George Bush passed the Patriot Act just before the Patriots won the Super Bowl, and New York comes out of nowhere, and they make the World Series just after 9/11. So Ichiro and Tom Brady both have significant things going on with them in the year 2001. And, you know, the Yankees upset the Mariners 41 days after 9/11. And 41 days is also 1 month and 11 days. And what's interesting about that is they upset them on Ichiro's birthday as well. Ichiro's birthday is when the Yankees upset the Mariners that Ichiro was on. 41 days, 1 month, 11 days. 9/11 is the day that leaves 111 days in the year. And in Gematria, New York equals 111. How fitting that they would upset them 1 month and 11 days later. Also 41 days. Seattle Mariners, if you write that out in Gematria, it equals 179, which is the 41st prime number. 9/11 happened on a date numerology of 41. Al-Qaeda equals 41. Airplanes equal 41. Skull and bones equal 41. Think about that. George Bush and John Kerry. The word Zionists equal 41. Who are the real people responsible for 9/11? This year, Tom Brady will be 41 years old, and the word Super Bowl equals 41. That's how last year I was pretty sure the Eagles were going to be in the Super Bowl because there was an earthquake that was felt in Philadelphia that was a 4.1. Tom Brady gets his first start against the New York Jets. New York Jets, think about that in regards to Boeing being in Seattle and the airplanes supposedly hitting the World Trade Center. I mean, there's just so much symbolism with 9/11. New York, the 11th state, and the buildings that get hit look like a giant 11, right? And the first plane supposedly hit the tower was flight AA-11. A is the first letter, so a lot like 11-11, which also reminds us of the end of World War I on 11-11 at 11. Flight 77 supposedly hit the 77-foot-tall Pentagon exactly 77 minutes after takeoff on the 77th meridian. If you write out September 11th equals 77 in Gematria. What are the odds? Osama bin Laden equals 110 and also 47, which is interesting because the Twin Towers were 110 stories tall, and then the other building that no one ever talks about, Building 7 that fell over, Building 7 was 47 stories tall. Osama bin Laden, the perfect, scapegoat. Interesting, I never noticed that his name equals 241 in Gematria either. 241, we're currently in the 241st year of the United States. And North Korea equals 53. And the South Korean president, Moon Jae-in, he was born on 24/1, like 241, in the year 53, the same year the Korean War came to an end. So they're absolutely showing us something in regards to 9/11. And it's interesting that Ichiro is Japanese as well, because just think about that in regards to World War, something I've been talking about. It's seemingly that they're building the bridge between Korea and whatnot. but all of that coding, I'll leave a link in the description, but all of the coding that goes along with it is seemingly pointing to World War, and it's connected to Hawaii. Pearl Harbor even happened in the year 1941. And in the last video, I talked about James Paxton, the Seattle Mariners player who got the no-hitter in Canada. He was the Canadian who got the no-hitter in Canada, but he also had the eagle that landed on him in the Minnesota Twins game. Think about the Twin Towers and whatever else, but the eagle that landed on him just after the Eagles win the Super Bowl and the Valentine's Day Massacre at the Stoneman Douglas Eagles High School and the Falcon Heavy launch that was synced up to the eagle landing on the moon. And that eagle who landed on James Paxton was named Challenger, and Challenger is the name of the lunar module that landed on the moon last with Apollo 17, the final mission to the moon, right? Challenger. And Challenger launched on the anniversary of Pearl Harbor, so there's something going on with it. It's the 114th World Series this year, and in Gematria, World War equals 114, Pearl Harbor equals 114, Holocaust equals 114, Kim Jong-un equals 114. Also, in regards to James Paxton, the last time that a Canadian threw a no-hitter, actually the only time some other Canadian threw a no-hitter, his name was something Fowler, and it was on 9/9 of the year 1945, which was just 7 days after World War II came to an end. So that was pretty interesting, 9/9. Remember, James Paxton's final pitch was a 99-mile-an-hour fastball on his 99th pitch, and the word Canadian equals 99, and the big story was that he was the first Canadian to throw a no-hitter in Canada, and the last time a Canadian did it was on 9/9. And James Paxton's name equals 523, which is the 99th prime number. So, interesting though. The whole point was that it was in the year 45. I also have to say this in regards to the World Series. The year 45 was the year that the curse of the Billy Goat happened. And the year that the Cubs won the World Series, 114 was the big number that I was talking about. The Cubs had the first tie since the year 2005, and it was on the same day that Chris Christie said there was 114 people injured in a train wreck in Hoboken, New Jersey, and Hoboken is where supposedly the first ever Major League Baseball game was played, but the word tie equal 114, and the Cubs are in their 114th season being called the Cubs, and after winning the World Series, they had 114 wins on the season. Then my uncle who's, a Cubs fan, he dies on January 14th, about like 114. And he went to a game in 2005 of the year of the last tie. He went to the Cubs versus the Reds, right? The Cubs versus the Reds. 2005, the last time that someone tied, it was the Houston Astros versus the Reds. 114 days before the World Series that Houston made and lost to the Chicago White Sox. So, lots of interesting stuff. And, this system is a world, our whole world is coded with this system, but there are people who understand this knowledge and they understand how to manipulate it. And that's where they program us with things in the media constantly, and they program us with TV shows and everything else, because for whatever the reason, when people put energy into a certain number or a certain programming, somehow it's manipulating the system that we all live in, and it's upsetting the balance of the way this world truly works. Anyway, we also had the death of the Cranberries singer, Dolores O'Riordan, and what's interesting about that is everybody knows the song Zombie, and that song is a protest song to the Warrington bombs that happened on 2/26 of 1993, which is the same day exactly that there was a bomb at the World Trade Center in 1993. There's been lots and lots of 9/11 symbolism that has been going on this year. I've even talked about that number 68 that I talked about earlier and how it's connected to 9/11 a whole lot. I've been talking about how in 2015 I was talking about the 1989 earthquake series with San Francisco and Oakland, the same city one. And in 2015 I was talking about the movie Field of Dreams and also the Mets, a possible Mets versus Yankees earlier in the summer before I figured out the theme was all about Pope Francis, which was connected to the Royals in early October. But, you know, it was, Mets versus Yankees would be a Subway series. And if you look up the Subway series in the year 41, the year of Pearl Harbor, the Yankees played the Dodgers in the World Series. The same city World Series. It was the Brooklyn Dodgers at the time. And this year, they actually have, it's not the World Series, but the Subway Series that's going to happen this year just so happens to begin on 6/8, right? The big number with 9/11. Interesting, last year when they played, it was August 16th, 16/8. New York City equals 168. And also New York Mets equal 168. New York Mets were really important in 2015 because they made the World Series, the 111th World Series. New York equals 111. Remember, Matt Harvey wouldn't come out of the game, and they finally took him out after he threw 111 pitches. I think the guy who even hit the ball on that pitch had the batting average of 111. Just ridiculous. The World Series opened up with the in the park home run, right? The first pitch in the first inning scored 1 run, like 111. Remember this year, Matt Harvey, in 2017, Matt Harvey was the first pitcher to pitch against the Houston Astros in Houston after Hurricane Harvey, right? Matt Harvey. And then, you had Steve Harvey at the big fight between Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. There's a bunch of Harvey stuff going on. Matt Harvey, the first pitcher to pitch in Houston after the Houston floods that were caused by Hurricane Harvey. And now Matt Harvey's got released by the Mets. There's something going on with him as well. I know what it is, but I don't want to confuse people in this video. It's because his nickname is the Dark Knight, which is Batman. And Donald Trump said that he was Batman at the Iowa State Fair before he was elected president. And he said it in a helicopter ride. The word Batman equals 51, helicopter equals 51. His birthday's 51 days before Barack Obama's birthday. Around that same time, we got all of the Batman stories. The guy who dressed up like Batman dying. And we had the death of Batwoman, where Batgirl died, Yvonne Craig, and Morgan Freeman's granddaughter. And they showed us the pictures of them at the Batman premiere. And we also had James Holmes, the Batman shooter, get sentenced. And we also had a shooting at the movie theater, the Trainwreck movie theater, and what happened to Abraham Lincoln? He was shot in a theater. So just keep that in mind there. Matt Harvey is important because of his nickname, the Dark Knight. Also earlier this year, I documented about all the bird symbolism with the James Paxton, and Randy Johnson spent a number of years with the Mariners, and I had seen stuff on Facebook about him throwing the ball and hitting the bird. Like, for whatever reason, that was posted a whole bunch of times around the time that I was documenting about James Paxton. And I think he did that when he was with the Diamondbacks, but Randy Johnson was on the Diamondbacks in 2001, the year that they beat the Yankees in the World Series after 9/11. So Randy Johnson hitting the bird, lots of bird symbolism, the Eagles winning the Super Bowl, James Paxton getting his no-hitter against the Blue Jays. And the last Canadian to get a no-hitter, his name was Fowler, right? Fowl is the bird. Remember Matt Ryan had the eagle in golf. That was important to the Eagles with the Super Bowl this year. Think about the Falcons that are the Birds. The movie The Birds was really important to the Falcons being in the Super Bowl the year before. Man, lots of stuff. One last thing I want to point out in regards to all of this is that the story of Ichiro and Tom Brady came 166 days before Ichiro's birthday, which once again will be the anniversary of the Yankees upsetting the Mariners in 2001. But 166 is a number that's important to 9/11. Twin Towers equal 166. September 11 equals 166. Empire State equals 166. Talked about this in regards to reverse gematria when we discovered that. Reverse gematria equals 166. Also, I think Big Brother equals 166. Secret Society equals 166. Remember on the film Oblivion that says the 2017 Super Bowl is going to be the final Super Bowl, right? And we just had the 2017, the year of the 2017 Super Bowl, and he's wearing the New York Yankees hat. And in the very beginning, he's fixing, or I can't remember if he's fixing the drone 166 or if 166 is the one attacking him. But it's all about the 166, and it also has the bridge collapse on the cover. Something really important to that. So 166. And I remembered a while back, I was documenting about 166 like no other with the death of my uncle and the Flintstones and a bunch of stuff. And I started talking about the angel Gabriel a whole lot because all of this symbolism that I was seeing in my own life was connected to the angel Gabriel. And my girlfriend was pregnant, and she originally was pregnant with twins, and that's where all the twin symbolism came from. And when you research about Gabriel, you find out that in the Bible, he only talks to Zechariah, Daniel, and Mary. And I was talking about Zachary K. Hubbard being Zach, and I'm Dan. And then I was wondering about if there'd be somebody named Mary, a truth seeker named Mary. And this was just after, I mean, I was documenting some of the stuff before, but just days before the gematria effect where this lady named Mary called in. Oh man, I didn't know how to explain it. So it was so long ago, but there's a guy Montegraph on YouTube, and he made this video. Well, for one, he made videos about Zach needs to watch his ass on Christmas Eve, and then a car ran into Zach's house on Christmas Eve while he was gone, and then he made a video about a dead squirrel, and then there was a dead squirrel underneath his car or something just days after that or the day after. And later on in April, he made this video about Zach needs to watch out for the number 166. And I was telling him about these 166s that I have been documenting like crazy. And then later, a few days later, on the gematria effect, some lady named Mary Toffelmeyer called in, and her name equaled 166. And it was just after I talked about the Zachariah, Daniel, and Mary stuff, right? And this lady, Mary Toffelmeyer, calls in, whose name equals 166. And Monograph made that video 166 days after my birthday, talking about the number 166. And that Mary Toffelmeyer lady called in and talked about Monograph. She was his newest victim and whatnot. And she talked about how she was worried about her pet pigs. And I was sitting on the couch next to two stuffed animal pet pigs that I was supposed to be watching for my daughter, who was upstairs. And she went to bed, and I was supposed to watch her pet pigs. And this lady Mary calls in after I'm documenting about it in the number 166, talking about her pet pigs, and I'm sitting next to my pet pigs, right? And it's just mind-blowing. The word pigs even equals 166. But maybe I'll find the link to a couple of them videos. But moral of the story is that Mary Toffelmeyer called into the Gematria Effect a different night after I had just talked about her, which is weird, but she called in and said that her brother was a lineman for the Seattle Seahawks, and then he died by the numbers. I can't remember what it was, and he replaced a guy, Grant Fiesel, I think it is. He died by the numbers. He was also a Seattle Seahawks center. And think about Zach living in Seattle. There's all this stuff connected to Seattle. You know, one night I looked up at the sky and I said, if God, you exist, please give me one person that I know that is awake and I can talk to. And then 2 minutes later, I got a text message from my friend Sam about, conspiracy stuff. And I thought, wow, this is some amazing stuff. And oddly enough, he's a Seattle Mariners fan, so. And then I talked about my friend Cody, who's a Cubs fan, who was randomly wearing the Seattle Mariners hat the other night on the day that my uncle's funeral that he was a pallbearer for. So there's just lots of Seattle Mariners stuff going on, picking up on some type of frequency, whatever it is that's going on. But Seattle, super important. And it was 166 days before Ichiro's birthday. So I just wanted to point that out, how it's connected to possibly New York. But, it can't be a coincidence that it's connected to 9/11. There's just no way. Tom Brady comes out of nowhere, wins the Super Bowl after 9/11, after the Patriot Act. The Yankees all of a sudden upset the 116 record-setting win Mariners to make the World Series, all coded by the numbers. And they even upset them on Ichiro's birthday. Of all days to upset them, Ichiro's birthday, it is, his rookie season, debut season with the Mariners. Possibly the Mariners will be in the World Series. I don't think that's what it's for. I think it's either just showing us the Yankees being in the World Series, or maybe just a New York team, maybe the Mets in the World Series, and something to do with 9/11. And with all of the stuff that's going on with Trump, it all seems too positive. That's how they roll in the media too. They show us all these good things, and then, whenever there's a lot of good things, that means a bad thing's coming, usually, it seems. So, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just making this video, pointing it out. We're going to keep following it. Last year, when I was talking about the Yankees a lot too, I was talking about Jay-Z and 9/11 symbolism as well. So this year it just seems really ramped up even more. So have a good one. Peace. Actually, I remember what I was going to talk about at the end of this video now. But I have this post from December 29th of 2016 that just keeps getting spammed. Like almost every day or every other day, it seems like I've been getting spammed messages on this blog post. That's the only blog post that I've been getting spammed on, really. I just keep getting spam, like just weird spammed messages about, who knows, about the sports games and whatnot. All of these spammed stuff. Spam, spam, spam. Blah, blah, blah. Let's just go way down here. I'll show you. I got one today. So I got another one today. I had one on May 6th, May 1st. I just, they're all obviously spam, and I keep getting them, and I've been trying to figure it out. And I've documented a few times as to what I think's going on with it, because I talked about how this album here has the eagle on it, and I can't even remember everything that I had redocumented about it. But what I find interesting, a big piece to what I was saying in this blog post, is I was talking about the Seattle band Nirvana, and how on their In Utero album on the booklet, on the inside picture, it has Kurt Cobain wearing the Flipper shirt, the band Flipper. But when you flip the image of this image inside the booklet, and that's what they did here, you flip the image, it looks like 9/11 in an airplane, right? And this was, you know, before Kurt Cobain died in the mid 90s. So 9/11, they're foreshadowing 9/11 in this post. And I just wonder if that's what I was supposed to see with it. If that's why they keep spamming this post. Because I'm telling you, when I get weird comments and I get weird spammed messages constantly and consistently, it's always trying to show me something. And this has got to be it. Showing me this 9/11, the Seattle band Nirvana. You know, James Paxton wore number 65. Nirvana had a whole lot to do with the number 65 as well. Even Kurt Donald Cobain equals 65. Christ Novoselic equals 65. He was born in the year 65. Dave Grohl equals 65. Foo Fighters equals 65. I even pointed out that Dave Grohl was born on January 14th. I know Kurt Cobain, just Kurt Cobain equals 114. Dave Grohl born on January 14th. Novoselic equals 114. Just think about that in regards to World War, stuff I was talking about. Also in regards to James Paxton and the Eagles and whatever in that number 65. I think Bald Eagle equals 65. James Paxton wore the number 65. And his nickname is Big Maple that equals 65. But the eagle that landed on him was on the date of 4/5, April 5th, which is also the day that Kurt Cobain supposedly died, 45 days after his birthday. And Valentine's is the 45th day of the year. Lots of stuff going back to love references, and Philadelphia equals 65. So I'm assuming that's what I'm supposed to see. 9/11, Flipper. I was talking a lot about Flipper because of the age of Pisces, right? That Kurt Cobain even sings about in the song Heart-Shaped Box or whatever. He sings about a Pisces or whatever. But Flipper has the dead fish, right? I was talking about entering the age of Aquarius. And, you know, the dead fish representing Pisces, the dying of Pisces and the entering of Aquarius. Also, with all the eagle symbolism, it was really, the Stoneman Douglas stuff was really connected to David Bowie and also the death of Glenn Frey just after David Bowie, Glenn Frey of the Eagles. And the eagle landing on the moon from the Falcon Heavy launch, that was a tribute to David Bowie. And Nirvana, you know, remade the song The Man Who Sold the World. Just trying to figure it out. It has to be because of that 9/11 symbolism. We talked about Jay Ajayi from the Miami Dolphins that was super sicked up to my uncle dying and all the 166, such as his name equaled 166. And I asked my mom when his birthday was, 166 days after his birthday, and his wife's Betty, Barney and Betty, like the Flintstones. Flintstones aired 166 episodes and was based off the TV show called The Honeymooners. Honeymooners equals 166. Jay Ajayi, born on the 166th day. Then he gets traded to the Eagles, who won the Super Bowl. Lots of other stuff. So yeah, I feel like there's a reason I'm getting spammed on that post, and I feel like a big piece of it is because of all this 9/11 symbolism that, for whatever the reason, someone's helping me out or something's going on, something's helping me out, and it's trying to show me this post over and over until I could figure out what I'm supposed to see with it. And just today I realized all this 9/11 symbolism again, and then I'm seeing this again, 9/11, so it almost has to be that. So Have a good one. Peace.